right, hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Antler and AFCO Podcast, the podcast for new and adult onset hunters. My name's Vince. I'm going to be your host, and this week is a Total Archery Challenge Takeover. We have part 2 of a 2-part podcast. The first one, you can find part 1 with Just One Outdoors. So if you're getting on this now, go over and listen to part 1 of this show with Austin and Ken over on Just One Outdoors podcast. I believe on that half of the podcast, we kind of just discuss our overall experience. We talk about my fall, me almost killing people with flying arrows and releases, Austin's bow breaking, things like that. And then when you transition over to part 2, which is where you're at now, we kind of go over more technical things, what we brought with us, what we don't think we probably needed to bring with us, how many arrows, things like that. So part 1 is more fun. Part 2 is more technical. If you haven't heard part 1, like I said, hop over to Just One Outdoors podcast, check that out first, and then come back over here. But I don't want to waste a bunch of time. Let's jump into the content. We have with us today Austin Reinold from Just One Outdoors and Ken Sasser from Kaliber Archery. And basically, we're just discussing our time at Total Archery Challenge, Tennessee. It was an amazing time. If you are, for whatever reason, not hopping back to part 1 and you don't know what's going on, to catch you up to speed, we had a lot of ups, we had a lot of downs, we had a lot of dangerous things happen. So we kind of just discuss our entire experience so that you guys can be better prepared for your total archery challenge or 3D events. So with that, let's jump into the show with Just One Outdoors and Kaliber Archery. Yeah. And I don't doubt that, like, if that were to happen with like a Matthews or a Hoyt or an Elite or a Prime, any of those top ones, I'm sure that they would say, hey man, especially because you had video of it. So there was like, the initial thought when a limb breaks is you dry fired it. And, you had a video showing what happened. And I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, but what I thought was going to happen was you're going to go talk to this guy. He's going to say, oh crap, man, that's crazy. I'm sorry to hear that. We're going to make it right. We're going to get a hold of new limbs. When you get home, we'll send them to you. You can go have them put on, blah, blah, blah. Never in a million years would I think they'd be like, hey, grab that dude's bow over there. Let's set it up because this guy still needs to shoot now. And it's not like he gave you a crappy bow. Like, he gave you a carbon 1 and his full quiver of arrows for that bow, which I think they were RIP TKOs like mine, and they were nice arrows. They weren't cheap arrows. And they, first and foremost, their focus was, let's let you continue to have fun here and now. You go play while we figure this thing out. And, I just feel like most companies would be like, hey, yeah, here's our number. Obviously we can't do anything today, but we're going to take care of you. And like, I don't think, I don't want to say this because I don't know this, but I find it hard to believe like most companies are just like, here's a new bow, go shoot, continue to shoot.
Well, especially an employee's bow. Like that guy, that's his personal bow. And what was crazy to me is I took it out on the course. The course we got through real slow, so we didn't get back up to the village, that whatever they call it, where all the shops are. All the shops were closed up. And I get back and I'm holding this bow and their tent is all zipped up. And I'm like, what do I do? And the bow spider guy literally helped me, and he went into their tent, got my bow, got my arrows, put that bow back. And I just texted the guy and said, hey, I switched the bows, the carbon 1s in your tent, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, awesome, thank you. I'll have my guy get in touch with you Monday, all this stuff. And I was just like, they like didn't take my name, number. They took my bow, my broken bow. I could have easily just said, all right, see ya, and left with this guy's bow. Which I was just blown away by like their trust, and also just like their willingness to do that and make it right. Just like, hey, you only have one day to shoot. Here you go shoot, have fun. enjoy yourself. And they didn't, and it was their top of the line bow, like their biggest bow that they're promoting right now.
Yeah.
Blown away. I mean, great customer service, and I'm sure other brands would have that same customer service, but like you're saying, I don't know if I don't know if Matthews would hand me a Phase 4 and go have fun. They might.
Right.
I'm not saying they wouldn't, because they're still a great company. But I was just like, I kind of was dumbfounded a little, just like as I held this bow in my hand, and I'm going, I'm taking this like over $2,000 setup out on the course that I could, like that shot at the turkey that we shot at. We're climbing down like a rock ledge. And I'm going, if I fell on this bow and broke it, what would I do?
Here
like, seriously, blew me away.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's the guy, go take it and go shoot. And it's like, do you guys you guys remember we're a Total Archery Challenge?
Right.
Like, this isn't your local, like, grass dirt path course. Like, and, they didn't care. They wanted to make sure that you were able to continue to shoot and have fun while you were there. And yeah, man, I hats off to that, to Bowtech, because that was awesome. It definitely saved our day. What time did we get back in? We started at 7 and we got back in at like 12.
12 or 1.
And, I had actually called my wife and I said, hey, Austin's bow broke. Ken and his wife have already shot the day before. They're kind of over it. And I was like, I'm going to head home at like 2. And then I find you and you're holding this Carbon 1. And I'm like, what's going on? It's like, let's go shoot. I'm like, all right, let's do it. We were back on a course by 2:00.
The turnaround too, like just, we come in, boom, I'm back out on a course. I'm still blown away. And just from start to finish, from me walking out of Midwest Archery with a brand new Carbon 1, I'm kind of speechless, honestly, to be honest. Like, they went so far above and beyond. And I honestly, I was kind of, after the Sitka course, I was like, I could be done, but I'm only here a day. I'd love to shoot more. Even if it was just at the practice range. I was like, I really wanted to, get more than just 25 shots out of this. Driving 16 hours total for it. And they made it happen. Honestly. They saved my day, because I'm sure you guys could tell after watching the videos back, I was ticked. Like,
oh yeah.
After my bow snapped, I was walking around kind of depressed and really just mad at the world, because I'm like, I drove all the way here for this to happen to me, really? And
yeah,
I was trying not to show it, but I was also like, what am I going to do for elk? What am I going to do for this? Am I going to be able to afford a new bow? Where will I find a new bow? Kind of all of those questions. And, Bowtech completely flipped my mood and help.
Well, we are past the halfway point. So, you guys have probably been, I don't know where we're going to cut the show into parts, but I'm kind of wondering, we wanted to talk about what are some things that you guys brought with you and you were glad you did, in terms of gear, food, whatever it is. What are the things that you used most on the mountain? And then once we get through that, we're going to go back through and talk about what were some things that you brought that next time you're not going to bring with you. Because after doing that course, like, if you think about a backpack full of arrows and everything else that's in it, plus your bow, plus a bino harness with binoculars in it, and your rangefinder, and God knows what else you bring with you, by, shot number 18, that stuff gets pretty heavy. And there's some things that we wish we just could have left at the truck. So let's start. I want to know, what do you feel like you see the lists of top X amount of things that are essential. What were the essential things for both of you guys?
Well,
Ken, you're black screen, so I'll let Austin go first because I don't know where you're at. Are you back in Louisiana?
I'm here.
hey,
I'm in
he's
here.
here. Let's
All
let
right.
him go.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna paste when Ken talks instead of his video. It's just gonna be that picture of him like
Don't do that.
that shit-eating grin he had that sums up the whole weekend.
I'm glad that I brought my wife because she helped us win.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
What you got?
Two, I'm glad we brought some rain gear, like, because the first day it did rain on us pretty good. Not too bad while we were shooting, but toward the end and getting out of there, we had to walk. It was about a mile back to the trucks and to the event, so I'm glad we brought some rain gear for that.
Which is one thing that I think most people hear, and Total Archery Challenge tells you bring it. I didn't bring it. You know what I mean? It's that one thing where you're just like, oh yeah, rain gear. Okay. Yeah, I'll bring it.
I forgot mine.
Yeah.
Well, luckily that storm kind of dodged us for Saturday, because it was supposed to be bad, like brutal. And I'm glad, hey, God came through.
Yeah.
He made it happen. So
I might have fallen 40 feet down that hill otherwise.
right.
But yeah, what else did you bring with you, Ken, that you were glad you had, or that you would tell somebody else is absolutely essential when you shoot a TAC event?
Well, if you're going to skip breakfast like we did, definitely bring Cliff Bar. That's key. Allen Pack, because that definitely ended up coming in handy. And I knew I was probably going to have to adjust my sight or Becca's, so I'm glad I did bring that just in case. And enough arrows. We didn't lose as many as I thought we was going to lose, but we had plenty, so I'm glad I brought.
How many did you end up bringing for each of you? So Austin.
I think he's gone.
Well, I'll answer that for him. Are you still there, Ken?
Gosh, man, I don't know what is going on. I've got great signal right now, and it still is not having it.
It's all good. How many arrows did you bring for both you and your wife?
It was like right over 2 dozen.
Total?
Altogether.
Yeah.
We ended up losing 9. 11 of them, I didn't count them because they were already like a year and a half old. Like, I knew that was going to go to that Kafaru target, but I still ended up sending a good one, and I'm mad I did. Hey, it is what it is. We was there to have fun, and fun we had, that's for sure.
How many arrows did you lose, and how many arrows did she lose?
That's
he lost all 9.
I was gonna say,
nah.
Your wife was shooting pretty good, and she's gonna listen to this, so you better not lie.
She shot a lot better on the Sitka course than she shot on the Black Rifle course. I will say that. I don't know. I probably did lose like 1 or 2 more than she did, though. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah.
It was like careless stuff. That one went right under the belly of like I don't know. I don't even remember what kind of animal it was. About 2 foot long or whatever. Went right under the belly, and I'm like, oh, there it is. I go to pull it. It doesn't move. There's not a tree there, so I'm like, what's going on? And I pull it again, and like a root, like 3.5 foot long root comes up out of the ground. So that one was junk. So it was like little careless stuff like that. But yeah, I think I had a couple more than she did.
You shattered one on a rock too, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
Like complete. If I remember correctly, yeah. You're like,
went
oh,
right
there
into
it is.
Yeah.
You grabbed it and like,
that
it was 6 inches of arrow.
Yeah, like fletchings. It was like just the fletchings.
Yeah. You could have made it. You could have kept it and made a pen out of it.
Dude, she had a great shot on that target. I think she was the only one that did hit it. Or did you Because that was like from the path over. Like she had a great shot
Yeah.
on that one.
Yeah.
That was rough though. Those were some rough shots. I'm not even gonna lie.
Do you feel like binoculars are essential if you have a rangefinder, a magnified rangefinder?
No, I don't. I don't think so because you could pretty much see everything that we needed to see. I mean,
And I'll circle back around to that question with me and Austin because I think that answer changes when we got into. It depends on what your goal is, and we'll circle back to that when we get to Austin. One other thing, Ken, that you had that helped. Well, I would say it helped. It almost got us killed.
here we go.
Having an extra release. I mean, that's another one. It's kind of like rain gear. When you're, if you have a release, it's for you. It's not for your buddy who's never shot it. But I mean, in that moment, like you had a couple extra releases with you, and granted, every release is different, so your anchor point's going to change, all this other stuff's going to change. But I was still able to shoot after the bad one. I was still able to shoot an arrow. I would have been able to kind of figure it out along the way. And otherwise, me, again, just like the rain gear, I was like, I got extra release. Nah, I'll be okay. My release gummed up. Luckily, I figured it out, but I would have been done too. So I think that's another thing. If you have an extra release or you have the means to buy one, that's probably a good thing to bring with you.
Agreed.
So is there anything else you can think of that you used a lot that you think, like, the next tack we do, you're going to be like, I'm for sure bringing that?
I'm definitely not bringing the heavy of book bag. Like I've got to lighten that load some. So I don't know. For everything that happened, we didn't really have to use a lot of stuff. So it was like, I probably didn't even have to bring that, like all that stuff in that book bag because I was way overloaded with that. But
what all did you bring with you that you didn't even touch?
I had like some tool. I had other tools in there like D-loop pliers in case anything was to happen to our D-loops. I had like 2 spare Allen packs, some fletchings, different things like that. I had D-loop material too, but I'm trying to think what else I did have. I had those frog togs in there, but like I said, I would have had to bring that anyway because I'm glad I did. But I really can't think of anything in particular, like besides like the extras for sure. Like bring backups, range.
Yeah.
I had a backup rangefinder in there too, just in case anything happened. You know, I don't know. Just be kind of prepared. You don't have to be overloaded, but definitely be prepared.
Yeah. So Austin, what do you feel like are absolutely essential?
Water. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I had
didn't
my
think about that.
Camelback, and that was a lifesaver. That was probably the biggest thing that I needed. Now, I will say when we go over to like what I didn't need as much water as I brought. Because like halfway through, I think they had the water station and stuff. Now, if you're shooting later in the day, those water stations may be out of water, so you may want to pack more. But for me, that was where most of my weight came from. I had like 2 extra bottles of water plus my Camelback. And had I known that I could have refilled at the water station, I wouldn't have had those 2 heavier bottles of water.
Shout out Turtle Box.
Right.
Yeah.
I will echo the tools. Though I didn't use most of my stuff, I had, a knife, I had pliers, I had Allen sets, and I had like spare I have like a fishing tackle box, like a small one of spare parts, extra field tips, knocks, things like that. Though I didn't use them, I still think it's pretty important to have them. And even though it adds weight, I think those things are important to have for situations that like freak accidents like my bow where we were able to some of the tension on that and, you know, get some of the extras off of it and just kind of let that bow relax a little bit since it was fractured on one of the limbs. I think that was important. And, you know, most of the times you're not going to need most of this stuff, but when you need it, it's nice to have it. So
yeah, that's the fine line. That's a really hard fine line because if you going off, you know, the way I prepared was off of my experience at Michigan last year. I didn't need anything. I could have brought 2 arrows, my bow, and my rangefinder and been totally fine. Like, you know, their rain gear, water, blah 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 blah. It's like I didn't need any of that in Michigan.
Yeah.
But then you turn around and go to Tennessee, and it was like, thank God we had too much stuff.
Yeah.
Because we ended up using a lot more than I would have ever thought. I mean, between Ken's rain gear when he needed it, between all the Allen packs we had, you know, we had, God, the water, just everything. I'm curious to get back around. So first and foremost, Austin, how many arrows did you bring? And this is aside from the second course, because that's kind of an anomaly. That wasn't even though they set the bow up to you, you're still shooting a brand new bow that you've never shot.
Yep.
And you shot it pretty well. I was shocked that you're hitting 100-yard shots with a bow you've just picked up for the first time a half hour ago.
Oh, trust me.
Yeah. How many arrows did you bring with you?
Let's see. I think I had 11 or 12 of my, so let's back up. And my whole reason for going to TAC was to help prepare me for elk. I want to be as prepared as possible, going into my first elk hunt. So I brought, I probably had roughly 18 arrows. I would say 11 of those were my Colorado setup arrows. Ready to go. Everything down to you know, the field tips I have in them. Weight was right. I was shooting those arrows. And honestly, I didn't need even that many, kind of as Ken was saying. I think I only lost on the first course. I think I only lost 1, maybe 2 arrows. And I think I recovered both of them. It was just like I exploded one on a rock. Things like that. Now the second course was a little bit more difficult, especially with the new bow. I ended up losing like 5. So it was nice to have the backup ones. Or like say I used my bow through the whole thing. It would have been nice to have those backup ones just in case. I would say you really, for one day, if you're only going one day, or let's say for 2 courses, a dozen arrows should do you pretty good. Now, if you're shooting like the entire weekend, every course, you may want to bring more, because you'll lose probably quite a few more. But for what we did, a dozen arrows worked great for me.
One point I want to hit on too, when we say losing arrows, your initial thought is going to be sending it over the back and it goes into Neverland and you can't find it. Primarily the issue that I see with most people, myself, you guys, other people I've shot with on 3D courses, you're not literally losing the arrow, but you do need to be prepared that you are going to break arrows. You're going to bend arrows. That's where having the extras seemed to really come into play. Not so much that you airmailed it and it went into the next county, but I mean, I can't remember what target it was, but I made a decent shot on the target. I don't want to say decent. Depends on who you are. For me, it was decent. It was obviously outside of the scoring rings, but it was still front half would have been a good shot on a real animal. But there's metal rebar that goes up their legs and into their chest to help support them so they don't fall over. Well, I mean, you guys saw how many field tips did I bend? How many inserts were bent at the end of the shaft to where the arrow's not straight anymore? And like, maybe some people are going to send those. I'm not shooting that. Once, if your shaft is bent, I'm out. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind
Agreed.
when we say losing arrows. We're really more so talking about breaking arrows than we are losing.
Breaking arrows, yeah.
Yeah. So another one I wanted to touch on, Austin, was Ken and myself. I think all of us through the first course, and Ken for your second, binoculars. I think we even made the comment of like, why the hell did we even bring these?
Right.
They're heavy. You know, when you're hiking and you've got a bino harness on your chest, like that little bit, when you're doing elevation up and down, it gets to be heavy and, you know, impedes breathing a little bit. I would have told you, had you and I not had a competition and we were just playing for foam,
Mm-hmm.
if your goal is just to hit each target, you don't care where it scores, you're not looking for rings, you just want to hit foam, which was my initial goal, you'd probably don't need binoculars. You can probably get away with just bringing a rangefinder, and that's going to be good enough for you to range your animal. You can kind of see what's going on around it in terms of overhanging limbs or anything in front of it. But now, so Austin and I, when we were originally going to shoot Leupold, and we somehow ended up at the prime course. I don't know how that happened. But we ended up doing that, and we were like, hey, let's have a competition, friendly competition. And probably halfway through, I was still just shooting for foam. And I don't know about you, but like it got to the point where it was like neither one of us really got real far ahead of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And like halfway through, I think we were both like, okay, we're going to start taking this a little seriously.
Yep.
If you're going to do that with your buddies, then I would say binoculars are definitely necessary. What are your thoughts on that?
I think you hit it well with what's your goal kind of is, you know, are you just trying to hit foam? Are you competing with someone? Or like in my case, is your goal elk in 4 months? Is that, are you using it as a prep type thing? Because for me, I don't think I needed the binos. Now for you and I would say, I would agree with you. Like, yeah, absolutely bring them so that you have them. But my whole mindset was I'm going to have to carry these for elk. I want to see, you know, what I can do right now, test it, what can happen.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was absolutely a necessity to have on me because I'll use them out in Colorado. Now, you know, if I were going shooting for foam, I'd say a rangefinder, and you'll be good.
Yeah. Yeah. A couple of those shots, especially towards the end of the second course, most of them were kind of deep into timber. You were shooting from kind of an open area, but you're shooting deep into timber where it got really dark shaded. And like I said, we hit a point where we're both like, okay, it's time to get competitive.
Yeah.
Like I want to beat this, you know, like I love you. I wouldn't care either way. Like, it's not like it was like, I got to destroy him, but like, you know, we're dudes. We're like, okay, let's do this here. And I specifically remember a point where you made a pretty darn good shot on one. And I think that was you were either one ahead or we were tied, and that would have put you one ahead. And I remember thinking, I was looking through my rangefinder, and I might have said something to you. I was like, I can't even see the scoring rings.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't even, because for whatever reason, the scoring rings on a 3D target are nowhere near where you would shoot an animal when you're hunting it. If you 12 ring 90% of those targets in real life, like you've gut shot that animal and you have a long day ahead of you.
Yep.
And I just remember, I'm like, I can't even see where to aim to try to beat him, you know? And so that's when I started getting my binos out. And that's when, you know, and even with binos, like I have 10x42s, just my hunting ones. And like, it was still difficult to see where to aim. But like we were saying, once we both kind of realized like, okay, we're actually going to start shooting for score here versus just for foam. It was impressive in my book how much better like our shooting got.
Yeah.
We went from like marginal shots. They were good shots. We hit the foam. I mean, on a 90-yard shot, 115-yard shot, which a lot of them were longer on that prime course. It's awesome to just hit anything at 100 yards. But we started actually putting arrows close to where we wanted to in those scoring inserts. And I feel like when our goals shifted from just friendly shoot 3D to like we're actually in competition, or like you said, if you're shooting elk, like that's the real deal.
Yeah.
Like if you're using tack as a preparation for hunting, you kind of like, you don't get to play for foam, you know? And I think that had after whatever we shot the first one, it's getting late. After that one, if we would have just been done, I wouldn't have the same outlook. I probably wouldn't take binoculars on my next one, except so I can show off my marsupial gear thing for my Instagram influencer videos. Shout out influencers out there. Keep on influencing. But no, now, yeah.
We're not running ads over here, but hey.
Just let you guys know, all this is available on antlerfeatherco.com. Anywho, no. But no, now my outlook on binoculars, like I said, halfway through, I'm like, these are just heavy and I can't breathe. And now I'm like, I feel like I learned how to use them in the 3D world. And so now they're valuable to me.
Yeah, I would agree.
But are there any other things? What are some other things, or maybe there's not, that you hear people say you better have with you? Is there anything else that you think like, you can probably shed some weight and not bring it with?
For me, rain gear, like, yes, you should have it. But look at the weather before you hit the course, probably before you get to the TAC event, just because cell reception is usually spotty. But watch the weather and just, be sure like that if there's not going to be any rain, why carry your rain gear is kind of my thought. So you could leave that in the car. Extra arrows. I wouldn't carry, you have 5, 6 in your quiver, carry, 3, 4 in your bag and leave the rest. It's just added weight. If you go through all those arrows, you probably should stop shooting anyways, because you only have 25 shots. Sorry if that sounds mean, but that's just how I view it.
I took that to heart.
Another thing that I wouldn't say is like a necessity, but would be good to have, and I thought of it too late, is I have one of those Garmin InReach devices. Having one of those, just because cell reception is spotty out there, had my bow broke and if I were injured, someone would have had to be running somewhere, like running the course to get help. So having that access to just be able to, push that SOS button if it's a serious enough situation would have been nice to have, just that extra comfort. Again, not a necessity, but if you have one and you're able to use it, I think that's something good to have.
Yeah. And you touched on you make me think of like, there were so many opportunities like the waterfall course where there's literally a rope because it's such crazy terrain. Like they're like, you're not going to make it down this without a rope. And you're falling into jagged rocks.
Yep.
On the first course, there was that point where you're falling 15 feet onto jagged rocks. I think it would be a good thing. And I think and maybe I'm wrong, I'm one of the only people that ever bring this up, have a freaking medical kit. And it doesn't have to be a 200-piece medical kit. And I also don't mean bring Band-Aids.
Mm-hmm.
When I say medical kit, I'm 100% like, the only thing I'm actually talking about is have a tourniquet.
Yep.
Have a cat tourniquet, and nobody in the freaking archery world carries these. And I don't know why, because it goes back to like, a bow is a legitimate weapon, and you're also hiking crazy terrain. It doesn't even have to be crazy. I could have, when I fell and we're all laughing because I slid down mud, if there was one rock, one thing that slit my arm wide open, which could have very well easily happened, you're screwed.
Yeah.
By the time, because like you said, my phone did not work at all. I tried to call my wife. It was not working. You're not getting a call out.
Mm-hmm.
One of you guys would have had to run 3.5, 4 miles back that trail and hope that you went the right way to get somebody to come back out with a side-by-side. If you got a serious enough cut or an injury, like you're done.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that's not a common occurrence, but again, think of your bow, your limb breaks, that thing snaps and whatever, catches your wrist, catches you in your femoral artery, which could have very easily happened.
Mm-hmm.
That one thing, it weighs nothing. It costs like $20 and it's fairly easy to learn how to use. You do need to learn how to use it, but a cat tourniquet, go on North American Rescue, and I'm not sponsored and I don't want to be. I just want you guys to seriously think about, we had instances we can laugh about right now, and it's funny right now, but had one little thing been different, we could be on a podcast talking about how Ken had to go to the emergency room because he got blasted in the face and a release went through his eyeball. It could have been your wife with the camera catching an arrow to the throat. It could have been me slitting myself open on the numerous times we fell.
Mm-hmm.
A tourniquet is a very, very important thing. And you know, I've reached out to a bigger name in the archery community. Like, you're making bow cases, you're making bino harnesses, you're making quivers for your hip, you're making God knows what. Why is nobody making a tourniquet thing? Like, you can go in the tactical world and get them all over the place. You can go on Amazon and get something that I like. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I have mine underneath my bino harness. And, you know, I pray to God I never have to use it. But that's one thing that there's so many small things that could go wrong that could lead to massive bleeding and trauma. Hi, Ken. And
Welcome back.
I think that's one thing that I would recommend, that more people, because even out on the course, if 1 out of 10 people have one, and that 1 out of 10 is within, you know, the next shot of you where you're screaming and they can run and help, I think that's something we need to bring.
Yeah.
I'll get off my soapbox on the tourniquet thing. I'm very passionate about that, especially after our experiences, because we got the power of Jesus and we were okay.
Yeah.
But sometimes crazy shit happens, and it's better to have that extra 2 ounces on you and be able to deploy it.
Well,
but yeah,
after this, I need to get one. Like, I haven't carried one past. I know I've been planning to get one for Colorado, but now it's like, I'm going to get one ASAP just because you never know when something could happen.
Yeah. And Band-Aids aren't going to do anything in that moment. You know, you think about, like, we're tough guys, you know, tough guys and girls. If we get snagged by a thorn out there, we're not putting a Band-Aid. It's going to sweat off.
Yeah.
But a tourniquet, specifically a cat tourniquet, combat application tourniquet, the best place to go get an authentic one is NorthAmericanRescue.com. It's such a minimal investment for something that I pray that every one of you who's listening never even has to use. But anywho, on that one, and yeah, like you said too, if you've got a GPS thing too, because the cell service was garbage.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't put any of my influencer videos out in real time. It basically ruined the weekend.
I mean, really, I couldn't live tweet. I couldn't post my daily TikTok. It was awful.
I was just thinking, you know, this is complete BS. I'm not doing this ever again because of that.
You know, you'd think an event like this would have, you know, like a cell booster or something.
Yeah. Come on, Turtle Box. You got enough. You got enough bass that I can hear the water station from 4 miles away. You can't even give me Wi-Fi. You know what the best part is? you get to the turtle box and it's got this thing and it's like, scan this QR code to enter to win a free one. I'm like, I can't win a free one because I can't even get service to do it. It's a freaking ripoff. Oh gosh. Well, there was one other thing I was going to think, or that I was going to bring up that I can't remember what it was now. I was going to say for arrows, that is it's such a funny thing because there is no right answer. That's one of the biggest questions people have, but it's also like, there's literally not a correct answer. I brought 6, and I came home with 4. Last year at TAC, I brought 12 and I came home with 11. Now granted, a couple of my 6 are bent, like they're probably not going to ever sail down the range again, but, it's just, I think that the happy medium number between weight and going overboard and going underboard, I would have felt a lot better with 12.
Mm-hmm.
I think 12, a good dozen is like you've got enough where you can be risky and send it and have fun and not worry about, okay, I got 1 arrow left and I got 7 shots left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I don't know, guys. Do we got anything else we want to talk about from the experience?
I think we pretty much covered it. It went from good to bad to great to who knows what, but it was quite a fun first TAC event for me. And I'm looking forward to doing it again next year. Heck, maybe we'll make it, or I know we plan to make it an annual thing. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, I think we've been going long enough. I think we got our part 1, part 2. Since I guess you guys are going to close out on my episode. Hope you guys enjoyed this little 1-2 series. I hope you guys learned a lot from our mistakes that we're, luckily able to laugh about now. But also with that, we don't mean to fearmonger either. I think we had, statistically speaking, probably, we had probably one of the worst runs of any TAC group. Usually it's pretty smooth and it's a ton of fun, and I can't wait to do it again. I got Michigan coming up, so I get to go shoot with a bunch of dudes that I met last year, my buddy Tom and Aaron and Kyle. And next year, next year we're going to do this again. I don't know if we're going to do it in Tennessee, PA. I don't know where we want to go, but definitely it's awesome that like this is something we're going to do for the years to come. It's not just a one and done event. You truly do bond with each other, not to sound weird, but in a different way. You really get to have a lot of fun with guys. And we didn't even touch on the fact that like we were talking about at lunch, how weird is it? Us 3, we know each other through Instagram.
Yeah.
And I just remember I'm getting my stuff out of the back of my truck and Austin rolls in, and it's like, you turn around, you see him. I've never met him in person. And it was just like, hey dude, what's up? Like there was no weird, like, oh, there he is. And then Ken comes in. And, oh God, I wonder if he's weird or not. Like, like it was like, we were just a bunch of buddies that just like, we met and we went and shot, and there was nothing weird about it.
That's been one of the greatest things about starting just one and getting to connect with you guys and others. Like last night I was talking with Trevin from Beatty Custom Calls, and just like all these people that we've got to connect with, I never would have connected with. I never would have met you guys had it not been for just one. And now I'm like, your guys are some of the closest guys when it comes to hunting and outdoors and all that, and I'm so thankful for that, because like you were saying, I rolled up and I see you stand behind your truck, and I look at your truck and I see the Antler and Feather Co. And I'm like, oh snap, there he is. And I point and I'm like treating this guy like I've known him for years, and this is my first time meeting him. And it's special. And then, we get to go climb mountains, almost die together. I mean, pretty much become blood brothers now. Yeah.
The only thing that you guys probably thought, God, he's short.
I was glad y'all was real, man. Like that was the thing about it. I'm like, man, they the same
Yeah.
as they are on Instagram. It's not like a facade or nothing like that. Y'all kept it real the whole time through the course, and everything was amazing, man. I
Everything
had
was
a great
what, Ken?
time for real.
Everything was what? We need to
It
know.
was what?
This is Austin. When you were asking about Riverside, this is a good part about Riverside. It'll still, whatever
thing
he's
hates
saying
me.
right now.
This thing hates me
To you
so
guys,
bad.
to you guys who are listening to the actual recording right now, you're going to be like, what are you guys talking about? Because it's probably going to be seamless. And then we're going to talk over Ken. To us right now, Ken completely blanked out. And we're like, what, Ken? What?
Oh my God.
But no, yeah, Ken, you nailed it too. Just I don't know. I guess meeting you guys, I never even had the thought of like, I wonder if these dudes are different in person. And a lot, I mean, I guess with you two in particular, and there's a couple other people that I talk to online that I feel would be the same way. Like we text on our personal phones, like we have each other's, like we talk frequently. So I think we kind of vetted out whether or not I'm just this guy on a podcast and then I get off it and I'm totally some asshole or something. I'm an asshole on both of them, but but no, it was a lot of fun. And it was just, yeah, I'm so glad. I'm so thankful, that I was able to share that with you guys. It was just awesome all around.
Absolutely.
So
This has been fun. I'm excited to have the part 1, part 2 collab with you and
yeah.
Ken.
Yeah.
It's been fun having you pop in and out of this.
This hour and 40-minute show, Ken's been here for about 14 minutes, but
Yeah.
well, hey, just to close it up, if you guys don't mind, I'd like to close it in a prayer because we didn't start off with one. Close it that way. And then, you guys, if you're listening to this, then you probably already listened to part number 1 on Just One Outdoors podcast. If you haven't and you just popped into this one, we had a whole big conversation about our time at TAC beforehand. So make sure you go over to Just One Outdoors podcast and listen to the part 1 of this as well. So I'm going to say a quick prayer and then we'll kind of let everybody know where they can find both of you guys, on your guys' Instagram and online. And then we'll close it out for the night and get some sleep. All right, Lord Jesus, again, we thank you for another day. We thank you for another opportunity to come together and just talk to each other about just such an amazing time that we had together. I truly believe, and I know these guys believe, that it wasn't by chance that we got together. It wasn't by chance that we came into each other's lives. And whatever your grand plan is, this was part of it. And it was such a great story. It was so much fun for us to just get out together as believers and enjoy the amazing terrain you've created in Tennessee. That was my first time there. I don't know about anybody else, but that was new to me and it was a new experience. And I'm just overly thankful for that. And the fact that I got to share that moment with, not only just 2 awesome men, but 2 awesome men that you've graced with 2 awesome wives. And I'm so thankful for that experience. I thank you for both Ken and Austin, and their lives and the many things that you've done in their lives. And we just, again, thank you for the opportunity for the opportunity for us to come back safely, and rehash this whole, Total Archery Challenge experience with each other. And, you've bonded us for life. We're going to do this year after year, God willing. And, again, just thank you. The main part of my prayer is just thank you for all of it. It was perfect. It was fun. It was wonderful. And, let no one forget that none of that is possible without you saying so. So again, thank you. And we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen, bro.
All right. So Ken, while I still got you, where can people find you online?
Rocking the Mix.
Rocking.
Or Kaliber Archery.
There you
with
go.
a K.
How about you, Austin?
You can find us anywhere at Just One Outdoors, or you can find me. I think it's just Austin Reinold. But yeah, come listen to part 1. It's a doozy, and make sure you stay listening to this guy. Love his podcast and really get a lot from it. So yeah.
No, I appreciate it, dude. I love your guys' show too. And yeah, make sure if you didn't catch part 1, go catch part 1 over at Just One Outdoors podcast. Well, guys, I don't know if I should close it out the normal way or not. Let's do it. Hey, if you guys got anything out of this, if you enjoyed the show, if you put something new into your arsenal that you can take onto the 3D course with you, get a tourniquet. But if you guys enjoyed this show, please call to action, go and follow wherever you're listening to this show, and then rate and review. Rating and reviewing is the best way to get the show in front of more people. And the more people that listen to the show allow me to keep bringing great guests on the show like we had tonight, and we can all learn things together, have fun together, and ultimately that is going to make you more deadly in the woods and on the 3D course. So for Austin, for Ken, and myself, this is the Antler and Feather Co. podcast. You are listening to the Antler and Feather Co. podcast.